Welcome to Summary Shelf. We summarize books to help you grow.
Every one of us grows up hearing advice about money, often without realizing how deeply it shapes our future. Robert Kiyosaki had two father figures in his life. One was his own father, highly educated, a respected government employee, yet always struggling financially. The other was his best friend's father, a man with less formal schooling, who became one of the wealthiest men in Hawaii. Kiyosaki calls them his poor dad and his rich dad. This is not a story about income. It's a story about how two different mindsets taught to the same boy led to two completely different lives. Over the next few minutes, we'll walk through the 10 most powerful lessons from this book, explained simply, so you can start applying them today. Learning number 1. The rich don't work for money. They make money work for them. Most people are taught to get a good job, earn a paycheck, and trade their time for a salary. But Kiyosaki's rich dad explained something different. If you only work for money, you will always need to keep working, because the moment you stop, the income stops too. Instead, wealthy people focus their energy on building or acquiring things that pay them, even while they sleep. This could be a business, an investment, or property that generates rental income. The goal is not just to earn money, but to create sources of money that don't depend on your daily effort. That single shift in thinking, from earning to owning, is where real financial freedom begins. Learning number 2. Financial literacy is more important than how much money you earn. Kiyosaki noticed that many high-income doctors, lawyers, and executives still struggled financially, while people with modest incomes became wealthy over time. The difference wasn't the paycheck, it was understanding how money actually works. Financial literacy means knowing how to read a basic balance sheet, understanding the difference between an asset and a liability, and knowing how taxes, debt, and interest affect your wealth. Without this knowledge, even a large income can disappear quickly because you don't know how to protect or grow it. With this knowledge, even a small income can be carefully directed to build lasting wealth. This is why Rich Dad insisted that financial education, not just a college degree, was the true foundation for financial success. Learning number 3, and perhaps the single most important concept in the entire book. Know the difference between an asset and a liability. Rich Dad's definition is refreshingly simple. An asset is anything that puts money into your pocket, like a rental property, a stock that pays dividends, or a business you own. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket, like a car loan, credit card debt, or even the mortgage on the house you live in, because it costs you money every month without generating income. Many people believe their home is their biggest asset, but Rich Dad challenges that idea directly. If it doesn't put money in your pocket, it's a liability, no matter how nice it looks. The path to wealth is simple to state, though it takes discipline to follow. Buy assets and be very careful about what you call a liability. Learning number 4. Mind your own business. This doesn't mean quitting your job immediately. It means understanding that your job is your profession, but building assets on the side is your real business. A doctor's profession is medicine, but her business could be real estate investments she builds quietly over the years. An employee's profession might be marketing, but his business could be a small portfolio of stocks and a side venture that grows independently of his salary. Rich Dad's point was that too many people pour all their energy into someone else's company, making the owners and shareholders richer, while neglecting to build anything of their own. Even while employed, you should be steadily acquiring assets, real estate, stocks, businesses, so that over time, your own business, not your job, becomes your primary source of wealth. Learning number 5. Understand how taxes really work and why the wealthy use corporations to their advantage. Rich Dad explained a pattern that surprises most people. Employees earn, get taxed, and then spend whatever is left. But businesses earn, spend on legitimate expenses and investments first, and are taxed only on what remains. This is one reason the wealthy often build companies rather than simply working as employees, because a properly structured business can legally provide more room to invest, grow, and protect income before tax obligations apply. This isn't about avoiding responsibility. It's about understanding the rules of money that are taught in business and accounting, rules that most schools never explain to the average person. Learning how income, expenses, and taxes interact is a quiet advantage that compounds significantly over a lifetime. Learning number 6. The rich invent money. They don't wait for it. Rich Dad often said that the biggest asset anyone has is not their bank balance. It's their mind. Opportunities to build wealth are constantly appearing around us. An undervalued property, a small business idea, a gap in the market. But most people are trained to see only risk, and so they let these opportunities pass by. Wealthy individuals train themselves to spot opportunity where others see obstacles, and then they take calculated action. This requires overcoming fear and doubt, the same fear that keeps most people playing safe their entire lives. Financial intelligence isn't only about numbers, it's about creative thinking, recognizing patterns, and having the courage to act when an opportunity presents itself, rather than waiting for someone else to hand you financial security. Learning number 7. Work to learn. Don't just work to earn. Rich Dad advised his son to take jobs and roles specifically because of the skills they would teach him: sales, marketing, leadership, negotiation, even if the paycheck was smaller than another option. Poor Dad, on the other hand, encouraged specializing in one narrow, high-paying skill for job security. But Rich Dad believed that a broad set of practical skills, understanding people, communication, systems, and management, gives you far more flexibility and resilience over a lifetime. The specific job title matters far less than the skills you're collecting along the way. In a changing economy, the person with a wide, adaptable skill set is far better positioned than the person who mastered only one narrow task, no matter how well they mastered it. Learning number 8. The biggest obstacle to wealth is often not lack of money. It's fear and self-doubt. Kiyosaki explains that most people are held back not by a shortage of opportunities, but by the fear of losing money, the fear of failure, and the habit of doubting themselves before they even try. Rich Dad taught that failure is simply part of the process of becoming successful, not the opposite of it. Every experienced investor and entrepreneur has lost money at some point, but they treated those losses as lessons, not as reasons to quit. The people who never start investing or building a business out of fear guarantee themselves one certain outcome: staying exactly where they are financially. Learning to manage fear rather than let it control every decision is often the real dividing line between those who build wealth and those who don't. Learning number 9. Pay yourself first. This is one of the simplest habits in the book, yet one of the hardest for most people to actually practice. Rich Dad's rule was this: before you pay any bill, before you pay any expense, set aside a portion of your income towards savings and investments first. Most people do the opposite. They pay every bill, every expense, and then invest whatever small amount happens to be left over, which is often nothing. By paying yourself first, you create a kind of healthy financial pressure that forces you to find ways to cover your other expenses, while your investment habit stays protected and consistent. Over years, this single disciplined habit, even in small amounts, compounds into a substantial foundation of wealth simply because it was never skipped. Learning number 10, the final and perhaps most important lesson. Wealth is fundamentally a mindset, not a specific number in your bank account. Throughout the book, Rich Dad repeats one core idea. Your thoughts about money shape your financial reality far more than your actual income does. Someone with an abundance mindset looks for opportunities, takes ownership of their financial education, and views setbacks as temporary lessons. Someone with a scarcity mindset says, "I can't afford that," and stops thinking any further, closing the door to solutions before even searching for one. Rich Dad encouraged asking a different question instead. How can I afford that? Which forces the brain to start problem solving rather than giving up. This shift from a closed mindset to a curious, resourceful one is ultimately the foundation every other lesson in this book is built upon. 10 lessons. One simple truth. Wealth is not primarily about how much you earn. It's about what you understand, what habits you build, and how you choose to think about money every single day. Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad and Poor Dad were not defined by their bank accounts alone. They were defined by the beliefs they passed on. The good news is, unlike the family you're born into, your mindset is something you can choose to change starting today. If these lessons gave you a new way of thinking about money, take the first small step this week. Learn one new financial concept, review one expense, or start setting aside one small amount before anything else. That is exactly how every journey toward financial freedom begins.